Okay, after you completed the value change in the tinting and shading, you're going to try the intensity change at the top. On my original sheet, I did the blue and the orange. So here I am working with red and green. Remember, they're opposite on the color wheel. If you grab your color wheel sheet, you'll see that red is directly opposite to green. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm painting this side in red. That's straight from the bottle, showing good brush control. And I'm mixing up a green here. Make sure it's a green, it's not yellow green, it's not blue green. Because if you have a yellow green or a blue green, it's going to try to change your gray. You want to make sure it's a green. Okay, that's pretty close, should work. Show good brush control while you're doing this. Try and stay within the lines as best you can. This isn't your painting, but it's good practice. Now we're going to take a tiny bit of red. Did you see how small that was? It's a tiny bit. You can sort of see the green getting a bit darker. This is called intensity change. We're adding the opposite of green, which is red, just a little bit at a time, a tiny little bit at a time, to change the intensity. What we're doing is we're slowly turning the green into gray. This is sometimes referred to as graying a color. These colors are very useful in backgrounds and landscapes. Just because they're not intense colors doesn't mean that they're not useful or beautiful. There's a little bit gray. You can sort of see this is almost gray now, and it just has a touch of green tone to it. So it's almost gray, but it's got a little bit of green. And you keep adding. Now what happened here is I added a little bit too much red, and it went purple. So I've got to add a little bit more kind of a yellow green to try and get that gray back. And there it is. So that should be your gray right in the middle. And what I do on the other side is I take my other brush, which has got red. Here it is. Okay, and now I'm going to add a little tiny dot of green to this one. Just a tiny bit. You see the intensity change there? Maybe a little bit more. Just a tiny bit of green, just a touch. Just a little bit. You can see how the red's a bit darker now. And I'm going to put that right beside the red that came straight out of the bottle. And you just sort of see it's slightly darker. It's a beautiful red, just a little bit less intense because it has a little bit of the complementary color, which is green to red. A little bit more green now, so it's going to get a little bit more gray. Still a beautiful color, even though it's not as intense as it was when it came out of the bottle. It's okay. And a little bit more. This is almost gray now. This should be almost gray. It should have just a bit of a red tinge to it. You can see a little bit of violet in there. I think my green had a little bit too much blue. So this is a little bit kind of a violety red. But still less intense, still doing its job. Color is such a wonderful element to work with. You can do so much with it. I love mixing colors. There you go. Once this is done, you can put it on the drying rack. Make sure your name and class are on your sheet, and you can clean up.